What's up guys, it's Morla Productions. In this video, we're going to show you how to change the radiator on our 2003 Toyota Tacoma. This tutorial will also be similar for 3rd Gen 4Runners and Toyota trucks equipped with a 3.4 liter V6 engine. So let's get started. For those of you that don't know, the radiator is part of your car's cooling system and is responsible for eliminating excess heat from the engine in order to prevent it from overheating. An indication you need to replace your radiator is when you see fluid leaking from the top and or bottom of the actual radiator. You may also notice that your coolant reservoir is running low, which indicates that there may be a possible leak. The items you will need for the install are 2 gallons of coolant, the upper and lower radiator hoses, and of course the radiator. Make sure you buy the correct radiator size for your specific truck. I'll include a link in the description for you to find out what size radiator you need. The radiator size we will be using is 22 5/8. First thing you need to do is remove the skid plate. There will be 2 bolts in the front and 2 bolts in the back. You will need a 12mm socket. Once you remove the skid plate, you will be able to see there are 3 hoses and the petcock. To the very right is the lower radiator hose. The middle 2 are transmission line hoses, and to the very left is the petcock. The next thing you need to do is drain the coolant using the petcock. Make sure to have a large drain pan. And to speed up this process, remove the radiator cap. While the coolant is draining, you can start removing the hose that connects to the coolant reservoir. After that, you can start removing the upper radiator hose. If you have this type of clamp, all you need is a screwdriver to loosen it up. But if you have this type of clamp, you will need some pliers. Make sure to save these clamps to put on the new hoses. After that, remove the lower radiator hose using the same process. Then you will need to remove both transmission line hoses. Make sure to clamp these hoses before removing, or transmission fluid will leak out. Now you should have all 5 hoses disconnected. The next thing to do is to dismount the fan shroud. There will be 4 10mm bolts, 1 on top and 1 on bottom on either side. Once you remove the bolts, push the shroud back to make room to remove the radiator. After that, you will need to remove the grill to gain access to the bolts that mount the radiator. Remove the screws and push down on the grill tabs and pull the grill out. Now you can see the bolts that mount the radiator. There is 2 on either side, and you will need either a 1/2 inch or 12mm socket. Now you can pull the radiator out. Here's the new radiator next to the old original OEM radiator. For those that are curious, the OEM radiator lasted for about 170,000 miles before it started leaking. Not too bad. The next thing to do is to install the hardware for the transmission lines and flush out the radiator with water to remove any gunk that may be in there. At this point now, it's just a matter of putting everything back together. Slide the radiator back in and bolt it back up. Bolt back up the fan shroud. Install the new upper hose, lower hose, and connect back the 2 transmission hoses and reservoir hose. Now use a funnel to pour in the coolant. And you also need to fill in the reservoir. Now the last thing to do is to start the car with the radiator cap off to get rid of any air bubbles and let it run for about 10 minutes with the heat on high to open up the heater core and let coolant reach all the coolant lines. And that's it. You just learned how to change the radiator. Make sure nothing is leaking, reinstall the skid plate, and you should be good to go. If you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more awesome videos. It's been Morla Productions, and we're out. Peace.